which means 1,000 or cattle. Scriptures speak about 1,000 cattle on the hill.
Yeah, because the R on its side represent or
yeah,
resemble.
That's the cattle's head.
Yeah, resemble
right
the
there.
head of a cattle with the horns.
I got it. Yeah, I got it right side up, right?
Actually, you can turn it all the way around. Yeah.
Because I'm looking,
Come. Yep, there you go. Oh, we almost had it.
See?
Yep, that's it.
That's the cattle's head, a lap. That's the, you can call it Paleo-Hebrew, Phoenician Hebrew, which, by the way, Phoenician is a Greek way of saying Canaanite. Proto-Canaanite, proto meaning first, proto-script, proto-writings, which is the first language before the Egyptian, the hieroglyphs, because the hieroglyphs are more, what's the word I'm looking for? Intricate. See, when anytime you do something, it's basic. It's a prototype of something. Then it becomes more intricate.
Right.
So that's how you know that. Matter of fact, go to Google, open up another tab, and put in proto writing.
Also, we know that the Son of the Heavenly Father speaks Hebrew, because when Paul was knocked off the horse, the language that Yahushua spoke to Paul was in the ancient Hebrew.
Yeah, and if you really want to go deep, they had a classic Hebrew, which the learned ones knew, the high priests, the top scribes, the lawyers. They spoke a different dialect, I would say, than the common people. Because Peter and James and them, they were common.
Right.
So they spoke more of a common, and it was a mixed form of the so-called Aramaic, which Aramaic ain't nothing but Hebrew any daggone way.
Yeah.
The word Hebrew just means past. That's all it means.
Yeah. Aram was Hebrew.
Right. And the Canaanites, which were so-called Africans, they spoke the so-called Canaanite tongue, because in that region, that's where the world, you had what was called the Fertile Crescent. Put that in, the Fertile Crescent. Everybody from that region, where the planet was being peopled or repeopled, the Canaanites, which was one of the sons of Ham, or Chem as they say it, they spoke what we call today Hebrew.
Right.
That's why if you put in Canaanite tongue or Canaanite language, what does it say?
It says Fertile Crescent, the region in the Middle East where the civilizations of the Middle East and the Mediterranean basin began. The term was popularized by the American Orientalist James Henry Breasted. The Fertile Crescent includes a roughly crescent-shaped area of relatively fertile land, which probably had a more moderate, agriculturally productive climate in the past than today, especially in Mesopotamia and the Nile Valley. Situated between the Arabian Desert to the south and the mountains of Armenia to the north, it extends from Babylonia and adjacent Susiana, the southwestern province of Persia, up the Tigris and Euphrates rivers to Assyria. From the Zagros Mountains, east of Assyria, it continues westward over Syria to the Mediterranean and extends southward to the southern Palestine. The Nile Valley of Egypt is often included as a further extension, especially since the short interruption in Sinai is no greater than similar desert breaks that disturb its continuity in Mesopotamia and Syria. Throughout the region, irrigation is necessary for the best agricultural results, and indeed is often essential to any farming at all. And that is true, because when you go back to the inheritance of the land of Israel, it began from around the beginning of Egypt all the way up to around Assyria, in that region, somewhere around in that region. That's how far the inheritance of the land of Israel extended. When you go back and you read up on the different lands that were given to the Israelites, the different tribes, and Elder Apostle Tahar mentioned that like the Pharisees, the leaders of Israel, they spoke like a different dialect, like an upper crust dialect, so to speak, than the commoners.
That's how they knew people were unlearned and common. They were like a lower class of Israelites, man. You had classism back then, man. So that's the first way you knew the fact that they spoke a different dialect of the Hebrew.
Yeah.
I have a quick precept here to back that up. This is in the book of Isaiah, chapter 36 and 8, and this is when the Assyrians were taking over the land of Israel, and they were trying to come against the land of Judah, Jerusalem and all those lands. They did take down certain ones of them, but they didn't take down Jerusalem, and they were basically popping off. It says now, this is Isaiah 36 and 8. Now therefore give pledges, I pray thee. This is Rabshakeh speaking to the upper crust, so to speak, of the men of Israel, to my master, the king of Assyria, and I will give thee 2,000 horses, if thou be able on thy part to set riders upon them. How then wilt thou turn away the face of one captain of the least of my master's servants, and put thy trust on Egypt for chariots and for horsemen? And am I now come up without the Lord against this land to destroy it? The Lord said unto me, go up against this land and destroy it. They were speaking in the Hebrew language. It says, then said Eliakim and Shebna and Joah unto Rabshakeh, speak, I pray thee, unto thy servants in the Syrian language. This is the Aramaic language, because these were top men sent out by King Hezekiah to speak to this ambassador or captain of the guard of the Assyrian army. And when he spoke to him, he was speaking to them in the common Hebrew. And they said, look, speak to us in the Syrian tongue. It says, speak, I pray thee, unto thy servants in the Syrian language, for we understand it, and speak not to us in the Jews' language in the ears of the people that are on the wall. So the point is that they spoke, certain dialects, and because the Syrian Hebrew is the same as a Hebrew, but they have different pronunciations, or different dialect, and the top. What the point of this is that the top men, or the upper crust, so to speak, of Israel, they spoke this particular language, which the common folk didn't speak. Same thing when you go up during the time of Yahushua, when the disciples were with him after Yahushua was crucified. When they spoke to the Sanhedrin, so to speak, which is the sect of the Pharisees and Sadducees, that was like their council, it said that by their speech, they said they understood that these men were ignorant, because they didn't speak the language, in the form in which the upper crust, so to speak, spoke, Yeah,
I got a precept for you. This is the book of Acts, the 4th chapter, the 13th verse. Now, when they saw the boldness of Peter and John, now these were for lack of a better title, the religious leaders of the day, namely the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the scribes. It says, now when they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived that they were unlearned and ignorant men. So, one of the ways they perceived they were unlearned and ignorant men is the dialect of Hebrew that they spoke. I'm talking about Peter and John. They marveled, and they took knowledge of them that they had been with Yahushua. So that backs up your point right there.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
I mean, why? You have to ask yourself the question, why would they perceive Peter and John as being ignorant men? Because they were commoners. Just like Apostle Elatar said, the 12 apostles, they were common men. All right? They were not esteemed. They didn't have doctor's degrees like you have today. Like us, case in point, you have us Israelites. We out on the street, we're teaching. People look at us as common. But then if a guy like Creflo Dollar or T.D. Jakes or one of them Calvin Butts, those guys with the doctor in front of their name, and at the end of their name a bunch of